This week, a special cruise in New England. We travel to Pennsylvania and back in time to explore the brass era and the Grundy collection. I'm Paul Manette, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Cruisin' New England and sometimes beyond. Today, we're going to visit with Jim Grundy. He's the president of Grundy Worldwide Insurance. We're going to get some tips on insuring your classic car, and we're going to have a look at his beautiful collection of automobiles. All this and more on Cruisin' New England. All my life, I've been cruising New England, meeting great people, visiting amazing places, and discovering wonderful classic and custom car collections, nostalgic automobilia, and so much more. Come on and join our adventure. I'm Paul Manette. Let's go cruising.
Modern Auto Body restores and maintains some of the finest automobiles in the country. It doesn't cost any more to have the best for your family's car back to top condition. We deal with every insurance company, and Modern will even help with the paperwork. Our state-of-the-art technology can straighten a damaged frame to exact specifications. Modern's color matching system ensures a stunning paint job and an exact color match.
Modern was great to me.
I wouldn't go anywhere else.
See the difference. Modern Auto Body. Rocked it.
Hi, I'm Jim Grundy, president of Grundy Worldwide Collector Car Insurance. We've been in the business of insuring collector cars since 1947, and we've learned that what collectors need is agreed value coverage at incredibly low rates. So for a legendary service, superior coverage, all at a substantial savings, call Grundy Worldwide or visit us online.
Cruisin' New England magazine. Plan your cruise and car show season. Subscribe today at cruisingnewengland.com or call 508-428-8055.
Intercity Lines Incorporated, America's premier enclosed auto transporter, providing enclosed transport throughout the United States. Call 800-221-3936 or visit us on the web. Find out what's happening. Get up-to-date information as I travel throughout New England and beyond. To get exclusive information and behind-the-scenes photos, join me on Facebook. Garage Storage Cabinets of Northern New England offers premier services in custom storage, organizer, and flooring systems for residential and light commercial spaces, specializing in garages, basements, and workrooms. If you are a discriminating person who views your garage or workspace as an extension of your home, you will be absolutely delighted with our products and individualized services. We are a New England family-owned and operated business, so take the next step. To schedule your in-home consultation and pricing, call us today. We're here with Jim Grundy. He is the president and CEO of Grundy Worldwide.
Well, Paul, I'm the current president of a three-generation family business, and hopefully one of my kids will be next. Grundy Worldwide was the brainchild of my grandfather, who began collecting cars in the 30s. My dad started selling antique car insurance in 1949 when he got home from the service. Two things were important: low rates, which we all love, and these cars qualify for low rates because they're hardly driven, and insurance to value. We call that agreed value, which means when you buy insurance from us and any damage occurs to your car, if it's lost, stolen, or destroyed, the amount we insure it for is the amount you get. There's no depreciation, there's no wear and tear. That's insurance to value, and that's important. The Grundy family are car collectors and insurance men. A lot of people ask us why we're different than our competitors. Well, that's the reason. We know cars, we understand cars, we know what they're worth, and we can help our customers get the right coverage on their cars.
And I'll tell you, I'm ready to get going to see some of those beautiful automobiles.
Let's go.
Jim, you're going to give us a little tour of your facility here. Actually, it's your, I would call it a man cave.
We call it an entertainment center, Paul. It's great to have you here.
and it's great to be here. Who do we have here in the back seat? Could you introduce them to us, please?
Well, we have Becky McLaughlin, who is our public relations manager and organized this wonderful day for us today, and her good friend Anna, who's well versed on these cars and will be able to describe details on them.
Well, that sounds good to me. Well, let's start right off with this. It's a 1909 Pullman.
Yes, it is. This car is very significant to our collection. It's one of the earliest cars, but the best part of it is the Pullman Automobile Company started as a carriage works that was purchased by my great-grandfather in 1904. He converted the carriage company into an automobile company and built cars from 1905 until 1917. This is one of the first and best representatives of that company. And if you look at the body and the styling on this car, just envision chopping off the engine, putting a big yoke out there and a couple of horses pulling on it. That's how automobiles developed in the early days, as an evolution from the carriages. Surprisingly enough, my great-grandfather had a wonderful vision of the economic opportunity to build cars, but he never drove in one. And he was known to say, "What fool would ride behind a fire-breathing, gasoline-powered, explosive monster like those engines when it would be far safer to be behind a horse?"
It's a beautiful automobile. It's a brass era automobile. Let's talk about the styling of the vehicle.
Well, it is a carriage body styling. If you look at it, the way we're sitting in the car, you can just see the comfort in the back seat. The front of the car was made primarily to be driven by a chauffeur. People in those days always had chauffeurs who doubled as mechanics. And if you went to town in your carriage or your gas buggy, as these were sometimes referred to, your driver would take you there, drop you at the doorstep of your destination, and then take the car to the nearest service station, clean it, polish it, change tires, and prepare it for its next adventure. And driving really was an adventure in the early days with these cars.
Now, let's talk about documentation of a vehicle and the importance it is to have as much history as possible on a vehicle, especially when it relates to the value of an automobile.
Well, history and documentation are everything. Cars in the last 30 years, 40 years have gotten so valuable that there is always that question whether they're real, because to reproduce or make one can create a financial opportunity. So if you can document the history of your car, its original ownership, the previous engine components are all real to the car's worth a lot more money. Paul, I think we'll just move chronologically through the collection, and the next one will be my grandfather's first car.
When we come back, a lot more of Cruisin' New England.
Experience McMulkin Chevrolet, one of the largest volume new and pre-owned Corvette dealers in the country.
I came here because I heard McMulkin has the largest selection of Corvettes in the Northeast.
I bought a ZR1 because I wanted the fastest production car out there.
McMulkin has one of the most extensive inventories of coupes and convertibles, available and ready for delivery.
The Taj Mahal of Chevy dealerships. If you haven't been around, you got to come and check this place out.
Make it the true American sports car, Corvette. McMulkin Chevrolet is your Corvette dealer.
Now you can watch Cruisin' New England television every day on our website television show. You'll see past episodes featuring automobile collections, memorabilia, automobilia, car show, and cruise night segments. Don't miss our visit with Hall of Fame drag racer Don Garlitz, a private showing of Bob Baer's world-class automobile collection, and watch for special segments, unseen footage, and so much more. Join us on our website television show at cruisingNewEngland.com.
Weddings, parties, classic car shows.
Gary James.
603-833-5292. 603-833-5292. Let Universal Vintage Tire be your source for collector vehicle tires and wheels. Lester, Dunlop, Firestone, and more. Universal Vintage Tire has a wide selection of bias ply and radial tires for your classic car or truck.
The Biggie. New England's Great State Fair. Coming fall 2011.
Intercity Lines Incorporated is America's premier enclosed auto transporter with service to all 48 states. Intercities features 53-foot air ride trailers equipped with lift gates for level loading of all vehicles. Intercity's drivers are the most experienced in the auto transport business and treat each car as if it was their own. Intercity provides transport services for car owners, auto manufacturers, dealers, museums, auto auctions, concours, and racing events. Call us toll-free or visit our website. So, Jim, Anna's got us in this beautiful 1909 Pierce.
Isn't this great? And we've asked Anna to take us for a ride. We're going to sit in the back of our little limousine today. One of the things that Pierce Arrow was famous for, like Duesenberg, by the way, was that their cars were so nimble and easy to drive, they could be driven by a beautiful woman. So we've got one, Paul.
Can't beat that. Listen, I understand, too, that Pierce didn't only build automobiles.
Well, they built a lot of things, but you know, the automobile was the creme de la creme of any manufacturing company in the years right after the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, they built fire trucks, campers, all types of things.
Yes, they did.
Let's talk about this one.
This car has a wonderful bit of family history, which again is why it's part of my collection. This car was slated for the junkyard. In 1937, my grandfather happened to show up at a junkyard in Philadelphia, and to his dismay, he saw a mountain as big as this building of brass parts that were about to go to the dumpster, the beautiful headlights and side lights and all the trim. He saw the cars being burnt to destroy all the upholstery and wood that was in the bodies, and then what was left was the iron and steel that was being turned in for the war effort. And realizing that this was going to be one of the last survivors, he bought the car at the junkyard, took it home to his factory where he built trucks in the early days. And this car is recognized by the Antique Automobile Club of America as the first vehicle that was restored for historic preservation.
Let's talk a little bit about the styling of the vehicle.
Well, you know, a Pierce Arrow was one of the great cars. There were the three P's: Pierce, Packard, and Peerless. And the Pierce Arrow was famous because of its incredible handling and power. Again, it's a carriage body car like the Pullman, but the styling, even though it's the same year, is much more advanced. Pierce was a great engineering company, and their cars literally float down the road.
So it was known for being a big-time luxury vehicle.
Absolutely, very expensive. You know, in the days when you could buy a Model T Ford for $300 or $400, a Pierce was selling for $4,000 or $5,000. This was one of the Rolls Royces of its day.
I tell you, it's great that you were able to get this vehicle and bring back memories for your mother.
Oh, we're so happy when she saw the car. It was a hallmark moment.
So what's Anna going to show us next?
Well, I think we'll go to another one of my grandfather's famous cars, which is a Mercer Raceabout.
Okay, Jim, this is one of your favorite vehicles. Why?
Well, after my grandfather's love affair with the Pierce Arrow, he wanted the greatest American sports driving car, and that is the Mercer. The Mercer automobile was the brainchild of the Roebling family, famous because they invented wire rope and built the Brooklyn Bridge. They became enormously wealthy. They went to Europe where they thought the styling and engineering was better. They hired the best engineers and stylists they could find. They brought them back to the United States. They started a factory in Trenton, New Jersey, which is in Mercer County, which is where the car's name came from. Mercer was immediately successful both in road cars and racing, had tremendous success on the track, victory after victory, and their road cars were the most expensive sports cars you could buy. Today we're in a Mercer, which drives as beautifully as any sports car on the road, even up through the 50s. It goes fast, it handles corners perfectly, and any man in a Mercer can always find himself a beautiful girl by his side. And I've got Anna. Here we are. Shall we go for a ride, Anna? Let's do it.
Jim, let's talk about some of the styling and the technology of this vehicle.
Well, if you compare this car to the Pierce or the Pullman that we looked at earlier, look at the sleek lines. All of a sudden we see round fenders. The other cars had square fenders because they didn't have the technology to do all the complex metal bending. Let's look at the lights. They're electric. The previous brass lights ran on acetylene or kerosene. The ignition system. Flip the switch and start the car. We don't have to get out front and crank anymore. This is a technology breakthrough.
I got to tell you, I can tell that you love driving this vehicle.
I take this car on tours with Ferraris and keep up, Paul. It is really a fabulous car to drive. My grandfather drove this car probably 100,000 miles over the course of 20 years and ultimately sold the car to the famous American artist Peter Helk. who memorialized Mercer's in many of his great paintings.
You know, Jim, you got me all excited here. I can't wait to see more. What are we going to see next?
Well, I think now we're going to go to the beginning of my collection, Paul, so we might jump a few decades forward to my first sports car.
When we come back, Jim's first sports car. This was one of the first mass-produced motor vehicles. Can you guess which company made it? You'll find out right after this. Welcome to the Town Fair Tire Recognition Award Series. Each week we're going to be giving away an award to recognize a classic car owner throughout New England. I'm here with Jim Giuliano. He's the Vice President of Marketing and Advertising for Town Fair Tire.
Paul, Town Fair Tire is a proud sponsor of the Recognition Award Series. At the end of the series, we're going to have a Town Fair Tire Choice Award winner for the $500 gift certificate.
It's going to be very exciting. Jim, I want to introduce you to Tom, and Tom, you know.
Tom, tell us a little bit about your car.
It's a 1981 Pontiac Trans Am with a modified 1970 400 Ram Air engine.
It's a beautiful car, and on behalf of Town Fair Tire, I'd like to present you with a gift certificate and a trophy.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Get to Town Fair Tire. You always get free mounting, free flat repair, free tire rotation, free snow tire changeover. Drive with confidence. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Town Fair Tire.
We're back with Jim, and we're going to find out who produced this motor vehicle.
It was built by Benz before it became Mercedes-Benz. It's a one-cylinder engine. It runs on lamp oil. You steer it. Show us how to steer it, Anna. It doesn't take too much. And notice Anna can drive this car with her heels on. The car has no pedals. All it has is one little lever, faster and slower. And by the way, it doesn't go backwards. So you got to make sure you know where you're going because there's no turning around.
Jim, a 1970 Jaguar XKE.
Paul, we've jumped forward a few decades from the brass era monsters, haven't we? You know, Paul, everybody dreams of owning their first car. Well, when the E-Type Jaguar came out, my father had engineering tracings of it all over our refrigerator. Just like people have family pictures on magnets, we had the Jaguar. And he owned several XKE Jaguars when I was a kid. It turns out he owned this one when I got my driver's license.
This is the very automobile?
This is the very automobile. I was allowed to drive my mother's station wagon, but when nobody was looking, I was driving the Jaguar. A few years later, it became my car to drive. It was still owned by my father. Many years later, after he had parked the car in the back of his garage, he started it up one day and it caught fire. Another reason to have Grundy insurance. And the whole hood of the car burned off. So we weren't going to let it go. It had too many memories for me and my dad. So I completely restored the car, and this is in the collection because it's my first car.
Now, I noticed something, though, on the wall here in your museum, an advertisement. So I guess you got a little mileage out of this vehicle.
Yeah, well, you know, all of our cars, if you look over the years, have been in our advertisements, but this one, the headline on the ad is Protecting Endangered Species. After it all, it is a wild cat, isn't it?
Now, the question is now, when you did take this without your dad's permission, did you get any trouble with it?
There were a few white-knuckle moments, but I never put the wrong side up.
What are we going to see next, Jim?
Well, Paul, we're going to continue with my personal passion in cars, the ones I've chosen to collect, and we're going to jump back a few decades again.
Well, let's go.
All right.
And Jim, tell us about these vehicles.
These cars are the twins, Paul. They're nationals. This car is a national Indy car, raced at Indianapolis, and that car was built 1 year later as a gentleman's roadster, built in a very limited production, sold to friends of the Speedway, strictly by invitation. It's one of 2 survivors, and this is one of 2 survivors. In 1912, National Automobile Company won Indianapolis, along with hundreds of other races around the country. National felt that the way to prove the reliability and power of their cars was to win races. The more they win, the more they sold. So they were a racing automobile company, and these cars are extremely powerful and fast. This car raced in 1912 as part of the factory team. Regrettably, it crashed on the 78th lap in the infield, rolled over, and the driver was killed. A little known fact, because at the time AAA was under constant pressure to stop racing because of the frequent accidents, so they hushed up all the accidents so that there would be no fear of losing the racing that was generating such huge profits for the sponsors. That car, after they built the racing cars, took the exact same chassis and engine and made a gentleman's roadster out of it. And if you drove a national roadster, you could pass anybody on the road. But you know what? You would never drive it alone. That little seat on your right-hand side, some people think they're mother-in-law seats. No mother-in-law of mine would ride in a national, I can tell you that. That seat was for the mechanician, the mechanic. And when you drove to town or you drove anywhere in an early roadster, you took a mechanic just in case of breakdown, in case of a flat tire. Look on the back, the car's got 3 spares. That'll tell you something about the quality of the tires, won't it?
It sure will. When we come back, we're going to go for a ride in one of Jim's vehicles. All this and more on Cruisin' New England.
Waiting on back orders again? Your neighbor isn't. He ordered from NPD. National Parts Depot continues to be the nation's leading source for quality restoration parts and supplies for Ford, Truck, Mustang, Camaro, Chevelle, and Firebird. With 4 strategically located superstores, you'll find everything you need shipped to your door within 1 to 3 business days. For your free catalog, visit NPD online or call toll-free. Don't let back orders stall your project. NPD takes the frustration out of restoration.
Cash for Gold, the place to sell your unwanted gold and diamonds. Where you sell your jewelry is as important as where you buy it. We at Cash for Gold are diamond and gold specialists. We will buy all size diamonds, gold chains, rings, bracelets, silver coins, and even broken jewelry. Often we pay 2 to 3 times higher than pawn shop prices. We also pay up to 90% of the daily price of both diamonds and gold. We are the original, authentic, family-run Cash for Gold and have been for more than 28 years. Visit us at 527 South Broadway, Route 28 in Salem, New Hampshire.
Building Maintenance Services. We've been servicing the Northeast since 1990. We service and repair revolving doors, automatic and handicap doors. We can help you design an attractive, efficient entrance you can be proud of. Protect your investment and secure your property with yearly maintenance contracts and 24-hour service. Whether an office, medical, or commercial high-rise, we'll get the job done right for you. Building Maintenance Services.
Would you like information about Cruisin' New England Productions? Cruisin' New England magazine has been the premier auto and events magazine for nearly 20 years. Cruisin' New England Car Show series includes the Elite Dream Machines Rock and Roll Weekend at Mohegan Sun Casino, the Super Wheel Showdown on City Hall Plaza, Boston, and the Spooktacular Cruisin' Classic. Or for personal appearances by Paul Manette or advertising on our television show, contact us at cruisenewengland@aol.com.
Jim's just hired me as his chauffeur. Jim, before I take this thing for a ride, tell us a little bit about what we have here.
We're at the height of the brass car era, Paul. You notice how many of us are sitting in the car? This is a 7-passenger touring car. It's one of the biggest and most powerful cars built in America. It's got an engine that's over 600 cubic inches, and it will drive down the road with a modern automobile at high speeds and tremendous power and noise. If you owned a Lozier in 1908, people stopped and looked when you went by. In here we've got a ton of brass, 6 cylinders in a T-head configuration. The cylinders in this engine are actually positioned here, here, and here, here, and here, here, and here. And the reason it's called a T-head is the valves, which are this big, are on the side, on opposite sides.
Jim, let's talk about the lights on this vehicle.
Well, they're acetylene, Paul, which means we have a tank of acetylene on the side of the car. We mix acetylene with water, it creates a gas. Acetylene gas flows through a tube up to the light, and in order to turn on the lights, we've got to use a wick and light them, just like you would a candle. And acetylene is a very, very hot burning gas, and it creates a very white light. They're the headlights, they're the ones that get us down the road. The side lights are the ones we use in the city, and they're just kerosene lamps. They just flicker and they warn people that we're coming along. And the tail light, it's just another little tiny kerosene flickering lamp. Not very safe if you were going to be driving on today's roads, but pretty darn good in the old days. Here we go, Paul. We've got a 4-speed transmission. We've got 2 rear brakes that barely work, so we got to stop way ahead of time. We have a handbrake that I can haul on with all my might for emergencies. And we have a car that every mile's a miracle.
So you're telling me no tailgating with this vehicle?
No tailgating, and we hope nobody's tailgating us because we don't have any brake lights.
What I like about your automobile collection is that you drive a lot of them, and that
I sure do. I love it. Think about a car that cost over $6,000, which is more than most houses cost. Certainly more than any normal car costs. Most normal cars like Fords. You hear all that torque kick in as we go up the hill.
It's strong though, baby, I'll tell you.
You don't have to downshift it.
No, it's awesome. This runs like a top though. This thing is beautiful.
You really got to get it out where it can stretch its legs and let the tires really start to roll. We haven't been out of 3rd gear and we've got 5 forward.
Well, maybe someday I'll come and you can get me into all the gears. It rides beautifully smooth, and we're on a rough road, and it still feels really good.
Well, you know, Paul, there were no paved roads when these cars were built. Some of the roads in the cities were paved, but for the most part, people were driving on cattle paths.
This is one of those vehicles I wouldn't want to have to fix a flat tire.
It takes about an hour, believe me. I've done it more times than I care to remember.
Jim, let's talk about classic cars as an investment. With the economy the way it is right now, I mean, do you see it as a good investment? I do, because I think you can get some real good deals now.
You know, the best part is you can look out in your garage and see them every morning. How about the stock market? You got to look out and see if you still have an investment.
I got to tell you, that really hits it right on the nose, doesn't it? I want to thank Jim Grundy for having me here today to visit his museum and learn a little bit more about insuring my automobile. I can't thank you enough.
Pleasure, Paul.
I'm Paul Manette. Until next time, I'll be cruising New England and sometimes beyond.